Welcome back to the wild world of HOA Karens, where the drama is always at your doorstep. Subscribe for daily HOA madness, like if you've ever dealt with a Karen, and share your story in the comments. Imagine the calm, peaceful feeling of coming home after a long day. You open the door, and there's nothing but the quiet hum of your surroundings. Maybe you kick off your shoes, stretch a little, and get ready to relax. You don't expect anything out of the ordinary until you step into your backyard. Now, picture this. You walk through your door, and as you take your first step outside, your brain takes a second to process what it's seeing. There are people everywhere, dancing, laughing, chatting. It's like you've walked into an entirely different world. But here's the kicker. None of these people are supposed to be there. It's not a block party. It's not some pre-planned gathering with the neighbors. It's just a random group of people enjoying themselves in your backyard. You look around, trying to make sense of what's happening. There's music blasting from a speaker that's clearly not yours, and everyone's gathered around the patio table, sharing drinks and snacks. Some are playing lawn games, while others are standing around talking in groups. It's a birthday party, and there's a huge happy birthday sign hanging on the fence. You don't know any of these people. You don't even know how they got into your backyard. But it's happening, and now you're standing there, unsure of how to react. At first, your mind starts racing. What is going on here? How did they get in? Do they know this is MY property? It's one thing to have someone knock on your door and ask if they can borrow something, but to just waltz into your personal space without any permission? That's a whole different level of audacity. You begin to feel that strange mix of confusion and frustration. How would anyone even think it was okay to take over someone else's space without a care in the world? You think about calling the police. Maybe you should. This feels like trespassing, right? But then your mind shifts to a different question. Should you just confront them first? The situation is already weird enough, so you wonder what would happen if you just walked out and said something. You could ask them why they're in your backyard. Maybe they'd offer an explanation. Or maybe they'd just brush it off, completely ignoring the fact that they're infringing on your property. Your eyes scan the crowd, and that's when you spot her. She's standing near the grill, flipping burgers and chatting with a couple of guests, laughing loudly and completely unaware that the space she's occupying doesn't belong to her. This, you realize, must be Karen, the one who organized this whole thing. It makes sense now. Of course, it would be Karen. The way she stands confidently, as if she owns the place, is enough of a clue. You feel a wave of irritation wash over you. You hesitate for a moment, unsure of how to approach the situation. Do you go up to her? Do you shout? Do you calmly explain that she's in the wrong? There's no script for this, and as the host of the impromptu party continues to carry on as if everything is perfectly fine, your sense of unease grows. You start to feel your heart beat a little faster, your patience thinning with each passing second. But then, something catches your eye. You remember the motion detectors you installed around the perimeter of your property just a few weeks ago. You'd never actually thought you'd need to use them, but there they were, just sitting there, set to activate if anyone entered the backyard without warning. At the time, it seemed like a bit of an overkill, something you added just for peace of mind. After all, you'd had a couple of break-in attempts in the neighborhood recently, and installing a few extra security features seemed like the right thing to do. Now, standing there in disbelief as your private space gets invaded, the motion alarms are about to become more useful than you could have ever imagined. You glance over at the sensors, positioned along the sides of your fence and near the backyard entrance. The siren that comes with them is just sitting there, waiting to be activated. You've never actually had to deal with it going off before, but you've heard it during your testing, loud enough to rattle your bones, almost too loud to ignore. You start to get an idea. Maybe it's time to make sure Karen knows exactly where she stands. If she's going to treat your backyard like an extension of her own home, then she should get a little reminder of who actually lives there. A part of you feels a little guilty about how this might play out. After all, you don't want to cause a scene or embarrass anyone. But then again, if they're this oblivious to the fact that they're trespassing, maybe a little wake-up call wouldn't hurt. You've worked hard for your privacy, and you're not about to let someone take advantage of that just because they decided to throw an impromptu party. You look back at Karen, who's now calling people over for a group photo. As she adjusts the camera and tells people where to stand, It almost feels like this is a dream. How did it get to this point? How did it come to a place where someone else could invade your space without any hesitation, without asking for permission? It's absurd. You didn't sign up for this. No one would. But then you remember the alarms. A strange sense of satisfaction starts to build inside you. It feels like karma in a way. Karen doesn't even know what's coming. And as she continues directing her guests, completely unaware that the boundaries she's crossed have already been noticed, you feel a strange calmness wash over you. Maybe it's time to remind her that just because someone is having fun doesn't mean they're above respecting the rules. And what better way to get the message across than by making the siren go off? As the minutes pass, you find yourself standing a little taller. You're no longer just a passive observer to this situation. You're the one who controls the outcome now. With every step that Karen takes further into your backyard, the more empowered you feel. It's as if you've been waiting for the right moment to step in, to take back your space. The sense of anticipation grows. It's not just about the motion alarms. It's about the principle. It's about the fact that someone thought it was okay to invade your space, your sanctuary, without so much as a knock on the door. This isn't just about a party. It's about respect, boundaries, and the very idea that someone could think they could simply take over someone else's property for their own entertainment. But as you watch the party continue, you also begin to wonder, how would they react when the alarm goes off? Would they be embarrassed? Would they leave? Or would Karen try to argue with you, making excuses for why she thought it was fine to host her party in someone else's backyard? You're ready for whatever happens next, because at this point, you know one thing for sure. It's not going to be quiet for long. You glance back at the sensors one more time, and a small smile creeps across your face. This isn't just your backyard anymore. It's your territory. And no one is going to forget that anytime soon. As you watch the party unfold before you, there's a sense of surreal disbelief. How is this even happening? The guests are blissfully unaware of the intruder alert systems around the yard, lost in their own bubble of laughter and chatter. To them, it's just another Saturday evening, a gathering of friends, a chance to unwind, and nothing more. But to you, it's a violation. It's not just a random invasion, it's a complete disregard for boundaries, for privacy, and most importantly, for respect. You start to feel a creeping frustration. The more you think about it, the more ridiculous it seems. They didn't just step into your yard. No, they've gone a step further by completely transforming the space. Music blasting, the grill smoking, people lounging on the chairs you bought with your own hard-earned money, drinking out of cups that weren't yours, and the audacity to treat it like their own private venue. You think about what you'd said when you set up those motion alarms, just in case. It seemed like overkill at the time, a bit much for the neighborhood. But now, standing there in your own doorway, you see just how necessary those little security measures have turned out to be. You glance over at the motion sensors again. They're discreet, small devices tucked away in the corners, designed to detect movement and sound an alarm. And you remember the moment you installed them, telling yourself it was a precaution. Better safe than sorry, you'd thought. Now, as your pulse quickens and your hands start to tighten around the doorframe, you know they've become more than just a precaution. They're your response. Your statement. For a split second, you hesitate. It's not like you want to be the bad guy. You don't want to ruin anyone's fun, especially if they have no idea they're doing something wrong. But you're not a pushover either. There's a limit. And that limit was crossed the moment Karen decided to turn your backyard into a personal party venue without so much as a courtesy call. It wasn't like you'd never met Karen before. You'd exchanged pleasantries a couple of times in passing, maybe waved hello when you saw each other out on the street. But that's where it ended. There were no special bonds, no neighborly favors here. And yet, here she was, walking around like she owned the place, directing her guests as if the yard was hers to command. You felt a mix of disbelief and anger bubbling inside you. It wasn't just about the party. It wasn't even about the loud music or the fact that they were taking over your personal space. It was the total disregard for the fact that this was your home, your place of peace. Karen had no right to decide how you should use your own property. No one did. Your fingers twitch with anticipation. The more you stand there watching, the more you realize you're not going to be the one to back down. If this was how things were going to play out, then so be it. It was time to let them know that there were boundaries they needed to respect. You glance over to the motion sensor that's sitting right next to the fence, ready to spring into action. This was the moment. You had every right to stand up for your space. In fact, you were almost relieved that you had these security measures in place now. In a weird way, the motion alarms were becoming your ally in this situation. You weren't being unreasonable by expecting people to respect your property. After all, people had to be held accountable for their actions, and if Karen was going to throw a party on your turf without permission, then maybe she needed a little reminder of what respect for someone else's property really meant. And so, you made the decision. You weren't just going to let the party go on as if nothing was wrong. You weren't going to just quietly watch from the sidelines, letting this situation unfold without any action. No, you were going to make sure this incident was stopped in its tracks. You reach over to the doorframe, pressing a button on your phone that activates the motion sensors. The quiet stillness of the yard is suddenly shattered by the sound of the alarm. It's loud. Very loud. The high-pitched siren blasts through the air, reverberating against the walls of your home and carrying throughout the backyard. You can hear the startled gasps and shrieks of the party guests as they freeze, confused, unsure of what's happening. People begin to look around, trying to find the source of the noise. It's chaos, with people stumbling over one another, tripping in their panic. Some look to Karen, as if expecting her to take control of the situation. But Karen is as stunned as the rest of them. She doesn't know what to do. The sound of the siren rings in your ears as you step into the yard, watching the scene unfold. Guests are scattering like startled animals. Some are rushing for the gate, while others are ducking behind trees and bushes, thinking the alarm might stop if they hide. But no, it doesn't stop. The noise seems to grow louder with every passing second. You look over at Karen, who has turned around to face you now. Her face is a mixture of confusion and annoyance. She's looking at you, almost daring you to explain what's going on. It's almost comical, her bravado, the way she holds herself as if this is all somehow a misunderstanding on your part. But there's no misunderstanding here. It's pretty clear that she and her guests are on your turf, and they've overstayed their welcome. Karen raises her hands in exasperation. "What the hell is this?" she demands. "Why is your alarm going off like this?" Her tone is angry, accusatory, as if you're the one at fault here. But you don't let it rattle you. You know what you have to say. You've prepared for this moment. "The alarm went off because you're in my backyard." You respond calmly. "There's no need to raise your voice. The alarm does that for you. You didn't ask for permission to use my space, Karen. You didn't even think to check if this was okay with me. And now my security system is doing what it's supposed to do." You can see the wheels turning in her head as she processes what you're saying. It's clear she didn't think this through. For a second, there's silence. Then, the realization dawns on her. She looks from you to the now silenced guests, who are all standing awkwardly, their party atmosphere completely ruined. The carefree vibe has vanished. It's replaced by confusion, embarrassment, and a creeping sense of shame. "You've got to be kidding me," she mutters under her breath, her pride hurt. But she knows she's been caught. You can see it in her eyes. And for the first time, Karen doesn't seem so sure of herself anymore. As the siren continues to wail, the guests begin to filter out of your backyard, leaving one by one. The party that once filled your space with loud music and laughter now seems like a distant memory. Slowly, the yard empties out. Each person walks away, their faces red with embarrassment, their heads down. And you stand there, watching it all unfold. No shouting, no drama, just the satisfaction of having taken control of the situation. After all, it's your backyard. Your home. And it will always be that way. As the last of the guests trickle out of your backyard, you feel a strange mix of relief and satisfaction. The siren has stopped now, leaving only the faint hum of the evening breeze as the only sound. Your heart is still pounding a little from the adrenaline, but you know it was the right call. No one should have ever thought it was okay to just waltz in and take over your space like that. You take a deep breath and look around at your backyard, now once again your own. The chairs are still scattered around, the party decorations half-heartedly hung on the fence, and the grill is still smoking, its heat dying down. You can't believe how quickly things got out of hand. For a moment, you feel that pang of frustration again. How could Karen have not considered the consequences? You realize that it's not just about the party or the loud noise or the fact that she didn't even bother to ask for your permission. It's about respect. You've worked hard for everything you have, and your privacy should never be taken for granted. As you stand there, you catch sight of Karen's face one more time. She's still lingering near the gate, talking to a couple of the remaining guests, probably trying to salvage what's left of the evening. But you don't feel the need to approach her. It's not your responsibility to explain yourself to her anymore. If she didn't learn anything from this experience, that's on her. The ball is in her court now. She can apologize, or she can walk away. But either way, your backyard is no longer a place for her to hold impromptu parties. It's strange, isn't it? You never thought something like this would happen. You thought your life was going to be just a little bit quieter, a little bit simpler, without dealing with the drama of nosy neighbors or boundary-crossing situations. But here you are. And now you know people will test the waters. They'll see what they can get away with. And it's up to you to make sure they don't step too far. To make sure they know there are limits. You finally make your way back inside, closing the door behind you. The quiet of your home feels comforting again. The chaos outside is a distant memory, fading with each passing minute. You sit down, still a little shaken by everything that just went down, but also proud of how you handled it. You know you'll sleep easy tonight. There's something empowering about standing your ground. Something freeing about knowing that you've set the tone. It's a lesson that Karen, whether she realizes it or not, won't forget anytime soon. And maybe, just maybe, she'll think twice before doing something like this again. You can't help but chuckle quietly to yourself as you think about what it would have been like if you hadn't had the motion alarms installed. What if you'd never put those sensors in? What if Karen had gotten away with it, thinking that your yard was just a place for her and her friends to hang out? It's funny how something as small as a security system can completely change the course of an evening. At the end of the day, it's not just about a noisy party or a blaring alarm. It's about taking back control. It's about making sure your boundaries are respected. And sometimes, the best way to do that is with a little help from technology. You can only hope that Karen learns something from this. Maybe she'll reconsider her next party location, or maybe she'll just start respecting her neighbors a bit more. Either way, you've made your point. Your space is off limits unless you say otherwise. And as you settle in for the night, the memory of the chaos outside slowly fades, replaced by the peace of knowing you've taken the right steps to protect your space. It might have been an awkward moment, but you know deep down it was worth it. You've set the standard, and that's all you can ask for. The next day, the events of the previous evening still linger in your mind. As you sip your coffee and look out the window, you can't help but replay the moments in your head. You wonder what Karen is thinking right now. Has she learned anything from the way things unfolded? Did the siren teach her a lesson? Or was it just an inconvenience to her? You're not sure, but a part of you hopes she realizes that this isn't the way to treat people. The sun is up now, casting a warm glow over your backyard. You take a deep breath, looking at the spot where the party was held, now quiet and undisturbed. It feels like it's returned to being just yours again. The music, the chatter, the chaos gone. But even as you try to move past it, the sense of violation still lingers, and you can't help but feel a little guarded. Later that afternoon, you hear a knock at your door. It's not something you're used to hearing, especially not after the events of last night. You open it cautiously, wondering who would be stopping by. To your surprise, it's Karen. She stands there, looking somewhat sheepish, her hands awkwardly held together in front of her. For a moment, you just stand there, unsure of how to respond. "Hey, can we talk?" she asks, her voice softer than usual. She's not carrying the same confidence that she had last night when she was hosting the party in your backyard. Instead, she seems more like someone who's realizing they might have crossed a line. You nod slowly and gesture for her to come in, curious to see where this conversation will go. You sit down at the kitchen table, watching her take a seat across from you, her eyes darting around the room as if she's unsure of how to start. I just wanted to apologize," she says, the words sounding a little forced, as if she's not used to admitting when she's wrong. "I didn't realize how much of an invasion it was. I should have asked you first before throwing a party in your backyard." The apology feels strange. It's not often that you see people like Karen admit when they've made a mistake. You can tell she's uncomfortable, but you also sense a sincerity in her voice that wasn't there the night before. It's almost like the alarm, and the way it interrupted her celebration, has made her reconsider her actions. I know I overstepped, Karen continues, her voice quieter now. I guess I just thought, well, I didn't think. I was just excited, and I got carried away. You nod, understanding that people sometimes act impulsively, but it doesn't change the fact that boundaries were crossed. She doesn't need to tell you everything. It's clear she's realizing how out of line she was. Still, there's something about her tone that makes you feel like she's not just apologizing to check a box. There's a genuine remorse there, and for the first time, she seems a little humbled. Look, I get it, you say after a pause. People make mistakes. But you can't just take over someone else's space without asking. It's not just about the party. It's about respect. She nods again, her eyes now meeting yours, and you can tell she's listening. I understand, she says softly. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I didn't even think about how it might make you feel. I'm really sorry. There's a long pause, and for a moment, you just sit there, letting the weight of the conversation settle. It's not easy for people to admit when they're wrong, especially when they've acted out of entitlement. But this feels different. This feels like a real acknowledgement of the mistake. I guess I got carried away with the whole party thing, Karen says, a nervous chuckle escaping her. You know how it is, you get caught up in the moment, and you forget there are other people around you. I won't do it again. I promise. You nod once more, accepting the apology. The tension in the room seems to ease a little, and while the situation isn't completely resolved, you can tell that she understands now. She won't be throwing any more uninvited parties in your backyard, at least not without checking with you first. That's the main thing. The principle has been established, and there's a sense of closure to the whole ordeal. Well, thank you for apologizing, you say, your voice a little softer now. I'm glad we talked about it. Karen stands up, looking a little more at ease than when she first arrived. Thanks for hearing me out, she replies, a small smile forming on her face. I won't forget this. You both walk to the door, and as she leaves, she turns back to you. Again, I'm really sorry for all of it. You wave her off with a smile, the door closing behind her as you exhale a breath you didn't realize you were holding. There's still a strange feeling in the pit of your stomach. This whole situation has thrown you off more than you expected, but at least it's over. At least you've handled it the way you needed to. As the evening draws near, you go back outside, your eyes scanning the yard one last time. It's calm now, peaceful, and there's no sign of last night's chaos. You walk around slowly, taking in the space that's truly yours once again. There's a part of you that feels vindicated, but another part of you feels a little weary. People are unpredictable, and boundaries are hard to enforce sometimes. But that's just life. The important thing is that you've learned something from this experience. You've learned that your space is yours to protect, and that you have every right to stand up for your own peace of mind. The backyard is quiet now. The sun sets, painting the sky in soft hues of orange and purple, and for the first time in what feels like forever, everything is as it should be. Your home is just that, yours. No one will take that from you. Not Karen, not anyone. The peace is yours to keep. As you walk back into the house, you feel the tension from the last 24 hours finally begin to fade. It wasn't easy, but you know you've handled things the way you needed to. And for that, you can rest easy. The next few days pass quietly. The intensity of the situation seems to have settled down, but there's still something lingering in the back of your mind. It's not just the events of that night. It's the nagging feeling that people will continue to test boundaries, push limits, and sometimes forget the importance of respecting others. But even as you reflect, you know you've done what was necessary. You set a clear example, and Karen, for better or worse, now understands that your space isn't something to be taken lightly. It's funny how quickly people can forget the impact of their actions when they get caught up in their own little world. You'd never have imagined that Karen, of all people, would overstep to this degree. It wasn't just a random act of mischief. It was a complete disregard for someone else's privacy, for the quiet rule of ask before you act. That's what stung the most, the sheer audacity of it. But then, as you replay the events, you realize that you don't just feel vindicated. You feel more aware of how important it is to maintain your boundaries, to protect your space from becoming a place where others feel entitled to simply step in without permission. Later in the week, you bump into Karen again, but this time, it's a different atmosphere. She's walking her dog, and when she spots you, she waves awkwardly, almost as if testing the waters. The way she holds herself is less confident now, a far cry from the boldness she displayed during the party. You wonder if the experience has changed her, or if this is just the beginning of her understanding of boundaries. "Hey," Karen says as she approaches, her voice noticeably softer than before. "I just wanted to say again that I'm sorry for everything that happened. I was out of line." You nod politely, acknowledging her apology without making a big deal out of it. "I appreciate you saying that, Karen. It was a weird situation for both of us, but I'm glad we were able to talk about it." She smiles faintly, and for the first time, it feels genuine. "Yeah, I didn't realize how much I was overstepping at the time. I guess I thought everything would just go smoothly, but I should have known better. Your backyard is yours, and I had no right to do that." There's a brief silence between you two. It's a little awkward, but it feels like the tension that once hung between you has started to dissipate. You're not best friends, and you probably never will be. But there's a certain level of mutual respect in the air now. You're both two neighbors who, for one reason or another, had a strange and uncomfortable interaction, but that doesn't mean you have to keep carrying the weight of it. "It's okay," you say with a light shrug. "I think we both learned something from it. It's all good now." Karen nods, looking relieved, as if that simple exchange has lifted a weight off her shoulders. "Thanks. I'm definitely going to think twice before doing something like that again." "I don't know what I was thinking, honestly." You both stand there for a moment longer, neither of you feeling the need to continue the conversation. There's no awkwardness anymore, just a quiet understanding that things have changed. Karen turns to leave, her dog pulling her along, but before she walks away completely, she glances back at you. "Have a good day," she says, and this time, there's no underlying tension. It's a genuine, friendly goodbye. You watch her walk away, and for the first time in a long while, you feel a sense of peace settle in your chest. Not because of the apology itself, but because you realize that you've found a way to protect your space without making a huge scene. You didn't have to escalate things. You didn't have to lose your cool. You simply stood your ground, and in the end, you've earned a level of respect that can't be easily ignored. Later that evening, you sit down outside with a cold drink in hand, watching the sunset in the distance. The backyard is as quiet as it's ever been, and the peace you feel now is a sharp contrast to the chaos that erupted just days ago. It's almost like the whole experience never happened, except that it did. And it's one of those moments that will always stick with you. But as you sit there, you realize that you don't need to hold onto any resentment. You don't need to keep rehashing what happened, because you've already learned your lesson. You've set boundaries, and now you've moved forward. And that's the most important part of all this. You can't change how people act, but you can control how you respond. The world keeps turning. The days go on. And while you know you'll never forget that night, you know it's behind you. Your backyard is yours again, and so is your peace of mind. People may try to push the limit sometimes, but as long as you keep standing your ground, you'll always be the one in control. And that's something no one can take away from you. As the evening fades into night, you lean back in your chair, letting the cool breeze brush past you. You've earned this moment of calm, this space of quiet reflection. You know that from now on, no matter what happens, you'll be ready to face whatever comes next with the same sense of calm and confidence that you had when you stood up for your boundaries in the first place. The following weeks roll by uneventfully. Life has returned to its usual pace, and the uneasy feeling that once lingered in your chest has long since faded. Your backyard has returned to its role as your sanctuary, free from unexpected parties or noisy intruders. The tension between you and Karen, once thick with unresolved discomfort, has dissipated. There's a new sense of respect between you both, perhaps not the kind that fosters a deep friendship, but certainly the kind that ensures peace and understanding moving forward. You're walking down the street one afternoon, just enjoying the normal rhythm of the day, when you spot Karen once again. This time, there's no awkwardness. She's standing outside her house, tending to her garden, and she looks up when she sees you approaching. There's a smile on her face, one that seems genuine this time, not forced or out of obligation. It's a smile of acknowledgement, of recognition that things have shifted between you two. "Hey, how's it going?" Karen calls out as you get closer, her voice light and easy. You nod, offering a friendly greeting in return. "Not bad, just enjoying the nice weather. How about you?" She gestures toward her garden with a small chuckle. "Oh, just trying to keep the plants alive. It's a work in progress." You laugh lightly at that, realizing you've never really had a chance to engage in casual conversation with her before. You're both standing there, just two neighbors chatting, without any lingering tension from the past. For the first time, the dynamic feels normal.
Comfortable, even.
"I see you've got a pretty good setup going here," you comment, nodding toward the plants. "Everything's looking great." Karen's eyes brighten with pride. "Thanks. It's taken some work, but it's getting there. I've got a few more things to add, but it's coming along." She pauses, glancing over at you. "I've actually been meaning to say thanks again for the other night. I really appreciate you being understanding about everything." You nod, appreciating the sincerity in her words. "No problem. We both made mistakes, and it's good that we were able to clear the air." For a moment, there's silence between you two. Not uncomfortable silence, but that kind of quiet where both people understand the depth of the situation without needing to say more. You're both acknowledging that, while things got off to a rocky start, they've smoothed over with time. And that in itself is an accomplishment. The fact that you're standing here, talking like normal neighbors, speaks volumes about how much progress has been made since that chaotic night. "Anyway," Karen continues after a beat, "I'll let you get back to your day. But if you ever want to join me for a cup of coffee, or just a chat, I'd love to catch up more." You smile, surprised by the invitation but also touched by the genuine gesture. "Sure, I'd like that. I'll take you up on it sometime." With that, you exchange a few more pleasantries before you both part ways. As you continue down the street, you feel a sense of closure wash over you. This might not have turned into a deep friendship, but the relationship between you and Karen has evolved into something more positive. There's mutual respect now, and that's all you could have hoped for. There's no lingering animosity, no unresolved tension. Just the quiet understanding that, despite the awkwardness and missteps, both of you have learned something valuable from the experience. That evening, as you settle into your routine, the thought of that crazy night fades even more into the background. It no longer occupies your thoughts or brings up any lingering feelings of frustration. You've done what you needed to do, and everything is back to normal. Your backyard is yours once again, and your peace of mind has been restored. It's funny how quickly things can shift. How a single event, something as seemingly small as a backyard party, can cause so much disruption, but also lead to growth and change. It's proof that, even in moments of frustration, there's always the potential for things to turn out better than you expect. As you reflect on it all, you realize that this experience has taught you something about yourself, too. It's not just about standing up for your boundaries. It's also about recognizing when to let go of past issues and embrace the new dynamics in your life. You don't need to hold on to grudges or let small misunderstandings cloud your judgment. You can choose to move forward, to forgive, and to create a more peaceful, balanced environment for yourself. The days roll on, and while you don't expect to see Karen every day, you know that, should you cross paths again, things will be just fine. The lines have been drawn, the boundaries respected, and the situation has been handled with maturity. You've stood your ground, and now, all that's left is to continue living your life in peace, with the knowledge that you've managed to turn an uncomfortable experience into a valuable lesson. As you look out the window one more time, watching the peaceful sunset, you realize that life, in all its unpredictable moments, has a way of working things out. You might not be able to control everything, but you can control how you respond, and that's where your true power lies. For now, you feel content. You've navigated this challenge with grace, and in doing so, You've found a sense of peace that will stick with you for a long time. The backyard is quiet, just as it should be, and the world continues to turn. As the weeks stretch into months, life continues at a steady, almost uneventful pace. The once tense atmosphere between you and Karen has slowly faded into the background, becoming just another chapter in the story of neighborhood life. You've had the occasional polite exchange in passing, and while the bond between you two remains professional and friendly, there's still a part of you that feels a subtle distance. It's not a bad thing, though. It's just a reminder that not every relationship needs to be deep or full of closeness to be healthy. Sometimes, just getting along and respecting each other's space is enough. But as time passes, you realize something important. That night, the party, the alarm, the confrontation, was more than just a small blip in your life. It was a defining moment, not just for your relationship with Karen, but for your own understanding of boundaries, respect, and what it means to protect your space. You've learned to stand up for yourself, and in doing so, you've grown more confident in your ability to navigate challenging situations. The peace you've found in your backyard, the comfort in your home, has become a constant reminder of that lesson. And while you might not dwell on the past, it does pop up every once in a while, like a small whisper reminding you of how far you've come. That one night, the alarm blaring and the chaos unfolding, now feels like a distant memory. But in some ways, it also feels like a moment of clarity, a turning point. Because of it, you've become more aware of the importance of boundaries, not just in your backyard, but in every aspect of your life. Life has a way of surprising you, doesn't it? You can go from feeling violated and frustrated, questioning your own boundaries, to feeling empowered and secure in the decisions you make. It's a strange journey, but it's yours. And when you look back at how far you've come, you realize that you wouldn't change a thing. The experience, as uncomfortable as it was at times, has shaped you into someone more aware, more assertive, and ultimately more in control of the environment around you. As the seasons change, you continue to find peace in your space. The backyard remains your sanctuary, a quiet place for reflection, a spot to unwind after a long day. It's no longer just a patch of grass, it's a symbol of your autonomy. You've reclaimed it, not just physically but mentally. And when you step outside now, it's with a deep sense of comfort, knowing that it's yours and yours alone. Occasionally, Karen will wave at you from across the street, her dog tugging at the leash as she walks by. It's always a friendly, nonchalant exchange. A smile, a nod, and a brief, "Hey, how's it going?" The kind of interaction you might have with any neighbor. There's no tension anymore, no awkwardness from the past. Just a quiet understanding that the past is behind you and life moves on. Some days, you'll sit on your porch, coffee in hand, watching the world go by. You'll think about everything that happened and how it seemed like such a big deal at the time. But now it feels like just another piece of the puzzle. Another lesson learned, another challenge faced. You can't predict the twists and turns that life will throw your way, but you know that you'll be ready for whatever comes next. As the days pass and the seasons shift once more, you continue to embrace the calm. There's a peace in knowing that you've faced something uncomfortable, something unexpected, and handled it with dignity. You've built the kind of strength that comes from standing firm in your beliefs and protecting what's yours. And for that, you'll always be grateful. The world around you continues to move forward, and so do you. The experiences you've had, the lessons you've learned, have all contributed to who you are today. The backyard, once a place of frustration and tension, is now just another part of your life. A place of calm, a reminder that you can navigate even the most unexpected situations with grace and strength. You don't know what tomorrow holds, but you know you're ready for it. Whatever comes next, you'll face it with the same quiet confidence, the same respect for your space, and the same commitment to standing your ground when it matters most. As time continues its steady march, your life seems to find its rhythm again. The once chaotic moments that seemed so monumental now fade into the past, buried under the passage of time. Your backyard, a place once filled with the noise and confusion of that unexpected party, is now simply a peaceful extension of your home, a place of quiet moments and contentment. With the lessons learned from that strange night still fresh in your mind, you continue to embrace the sense of control and calm that comes with having set clear boundaries. It's not just about the backyard anymore. It's about every aspect of your life. You've come to understand the value of space, both physical and emotional, and how crucial it is to protect it. Whether it's in the form of your personal time, your mental peace, or your home, you've realized that setting boundaries isn't just an act of self-preservation. It's an act of self-respect. One day, as you're sitting on the porch enjoying a quiet evening, you see Karen again. This time, she's walking alone, no dog in tow, and she seems to be lost in thought. Her pace is slower than usual, almost as if she's savoring the calmness of the evening, too. When she notices you, she offers a small wave and approaches, a little more cautiously than usual. "Hey," she greets you, a soft smile on her face. "I've been meaning to talk to you again. I just wanted to say, I appreciate how everything's turned out between us. It's been nice, not having any weird tension between neighbors." Her voice carries a warmth you hadn't heard before, a kind of sincerity that wasn't there when you first met. You nod in acknowledgement. "Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it? Like we've both learned something from all of it." She laughs lightly, a little embarrassed. "I guess I wasn't as aware of how I came across back then. I just thought, I thought everyone would be okay with my plans. But I learned the hard way that not everyone thinks the same way I do." You can see the genuine reflection in her eyes. She's not defensive, not trying to justify her actions. Instead, she's offering an honest, humble acknowledgement of her mistake. The kind of growth you can't fake. "I think we all make mistakes," you respond with a shrug. "What matters is how we handle them afterward." There's a moment of quiet understanding between you, the kind that only comes when two people are willing to accept their pasts and move forward. Neither of you feels the need to dwell on old grievances. The situation has been resolved and now, it's simply part of your shared history. "Well," Karen says, smiling more genuinely this time, "I just wanted to make sure you knew I really appreciated how you handled everything. It wasn't easy, but you made it easier. And for that, I'm grateful." You return the smile, grateful that the awkwardness of the past has given way to this moment of clarity and peace. "Thanks, Karen. It's all part of the process. Just doing my part to keep things respectful." As she turns to leave, you realize that this conversation, this small exchange, feels like the final piece of the puzzle. There's no more tension, no lingering discomfort. What happened is in the past, and both of you have grown from it. The lesson is learned, and the chapter closed. It feels like the weight of the past has been lifted, leaving space for something better. The next few months drift by with a calm familiarity. You spend time focusing on things that matter: your work, your personal growth, and your peaceful evenings in your backyard. Your connection with Karen remains cordial, but it doesn't go beyond the occasional greeting or casual chat. There's no need for anything more. It's a comfortable, respectful distance, one that keeps things simple and free from unnecessary drama. You've learned that not every relationship needs to be close, and not every situation demands confrontation. Sometimes, all it takes is standing your ground, setting your boundaries, and letting the situation play out naturally. And when you do, life has a funny way of settling back into balance. As the seasons change once again, you find yourself feeling more content than you've been in a long time. The chaos that once seemed so overwhelming has given way to a newfound sense of peace. You're no longer anxious about what the future holds, and you've stopped questioning whether you did the right thing. You know you did. Your backyard remains your sanctuary, a symbol of your strength, your boundaries, and your ability to move forward. It's a space that now feels truly yours, and every time you step outside, you're reminded of how far you've come. And though Karen and you may never become best friends, you've built a silent understanding, a mutual respect for one another's space and the boundaries that protect it. The experience with her, while strange and uncomfortable, has shaped you in ways you didn't expect. It's taught you the importance of maintaining your peace, even when it feels like others are trying to disrupt it. Now, as you sit on your porch, watching the sunset once again, you realize that the most valuable lesson you've learned is this: Peace is something you can create for yourself. It doesn't always come from others. It comes from knowing when to stand up for yourself, when to let go, and when to simply let life unfold as it will. And with that realization, you smile to yourself. Life has a way of working out, and as you look around at your peaceful backyard, you know you're exactly where you need to be. The days blend into weeks, and the seasons continue to change. Each one brings with it new lessons, subtle shifts in perspective, and quiet growth. The unsettling chaos that once overtook your life is now just a memory, one you've learned from and moved on from. Life has a way of ebbing and flowing, and you've learned how to let go of the past and embrace the present. With each passing day, you find yourself more deeply rooted in the life you've carved out for yourself. Your home has become a place of calm, and the boundaries you've established have become a natural part of your daily life. You no longer feel the need to question your decisions or second-guess yourself. The confidence that has come from setting boundaries, from standing firm in what you believe is right, has become a quiet strength that guides you through each new challenge that comes your way. As for Karen, she continues her life in the same quiet, predictable way. Your interactions with her remain civil but limited to the occasional hello when you cross paths. You've never discussed the past again, and you're both content with that. The strange tension that once existed has faded completely. What you shared was an experience that, while uncomfortable at the time, has brought with it a newfound sense of understanding between the two of you. It's not a friendship in the traditional sense, but it's an understanding, a mutual recognition that each of you has your own life, your own space, and that respect for that space is paramount. Sometimes, you'll bump into her while she's walking her dog, and there's no awkwardness now. You'll exchange a few words, a smile, and go your separate ways. It's nice, in a way, easy, light. It's a reminder that not all conflicts need to be dramatic, and not all relationships need to be deeply personal. Sometimes a simple understanding is enough. As the months pass, you realize that the experience with Karen, though it once felt like a major event in your life, has slowly become less and less significant. It's almost as if it never happened. The alarm, the party, the confrontation, it's all faded into the background of your life. What remains is a deeper understanding of yourself and what you value. You spend more time focusing on your own growth. You tackle projects you'd put off, take time for self-care, and surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries without question. Your energy feels lighter, less burdened by unnecessary conflicts or worries. The experience with Karen, in a strange way, has propelled you into a space of greater self-awareness, and you're grateful for it. Your backyard continues to be your haven, a place where you can reflect, relax, and recharge. It's not just a physical space, it's symbolic of the peace you've found within yourself. When you step outside now, there's no lingering frustration or bitterness. There's only calm, and that calm is something you've worked hard to cultivate. And while the world around you keeps moving, you've learned to appreciate the quiet moments, the stillness that comes from knowing you've done what was necessary to protect your peace. You've learned that protecting your boundaries doesn't always have to be a confrontation. Sometimes, it's simply about knowing when to stand firm and when to let things slide. It's about understanding that not everyone needs to understand your boundaries, as long as you do. As you sit outside one evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, you reflect on how far you've come. What once seemed like a major obstacle now feels like just another lesson in your journey. You've navigated it with grace, and you've come out the other side stronger and more aware of the importance of taking care of yourself. The peacefulness of your backyard, the steady rhythm of your life, and the lessons you've learned all blend together into something simple, something that feels just right. You realize that, in many ways, you've created the life you wanted, not through dramatic events or grand gestures, but through small acts of self-respect, boundary setting, and growth. You know that life won't always be easy, and that challenges will continue to arise. But for now, in this moment, you feel a sense of contentment that you've never quite known before. Your space is truly yours physically and emotionally, and you've learned the value of maintaining that peace. As the evening draws to a close and the stars begin to twinkle above, you smile softly to yourself. You've found your balance, and that in itself is more than enough. As the months go on, you find that life continues to unfold in a way that feels steady, even serene. The events of that one chaotic night seem like distant echoes now, just another story you tell when reminiscing about how things used to be. You've let go of any lingering frustration or resentment, not because the situation was insignificant, but because you've realized that holding on to that energy only takes away from your own peace. The people around you have shifted too, subtly but noticeably. Your relationships with others feel deeper, more genuine. You've attracted people who respect your boundaries, who value your time and your space. You've found that surrounding yourself with those who uplift you and honor your personal space allows you to focus on what truly matters. These aren't relationships that demand constant attention or validation. They're the kind that give you room to breathe, space to grow. The once vibrant backyard that hosted an unwelcome party now stands as a quiet reflection of your personal growth. It's your place of solitude, where you can sit and think or simply enjoy the peacefulness of nature around you. You often find yourself in the early mornings, cup of coffee in hand, looking out over the garden and feeling a profound sense of gratitude. The simple moments, like listening to the rustling of the leaves or watching the sunrise, remind you that there's beauty in the stillness. And in that stillness, you've come to realize that you've created a life for yourself that is just as peaceful and fulfilling as the space you've cultivated outside. On a particularly clear evening, as you sit in your backyard watching the sun dip below the horizon, you reflect on how far you've come. The alarm, the confrontation, and the discomfort of that night have all become part of your story, but they no longer define you. They were stepping stones, each one leading you toward a clearer understanding of what it means to protect your space, not just your home, but your mental and emotional well-being too. And in the process, you've learned the importance of letting go of things that don't serve you, of walking away from situations that only bring stress and tension. You realize now that creating and maintaining boundaries is not about being rigid or inflexible. It's about knowing what's important to you, and then protecting it. Whether that's physical space, emotional energy, or time, the boundaries you've established have become a part of you. And they allow you to move through life with confidence, free from the distractions of people or situations that try to undermine your peace. As the days continue to pass, you find that you're no longer as concerned with what others think. There was a time when you might have questioned if you'd been too harsh, too quick to act. But now, you know that you made the right choice. You trusted your instincts, you stood up for yourself, and you set a standard that reflects who you are and what you value. In doing so, you found a quiet strength, one that comes from within and doesn't rely on the approval of others. Karen is still around, but you rarely see her now. Every once in a while, you'll spot her walking her dog, or sitting on her porch enjoying the evening, but your paths don't cross as often. When they do, the interactions are brief, polite, and without the awkwardness that once marked your conversations. There's no need for long discussions or apologies. You've both moved on, and there's peace in that. It's a reminder that not every interaction needs to be deeply personal or filled with meaning. Some moments are fleeting, and that's perfectly okay. What matters is the understanding between people, the respect for one another's space, and the ability to let go of past conflicts without holding grudges. It's that kind of peace that lasts, the kind that doesn't require constant maintenance or effort, just a willingness to live and let live. As the seasons continue to change, so too does the landscape of your life. The lessons you've learned, the boundaries you've set, and the peace you've cultivated have shaped who you are today. You no longer feel the need to control everything around you or constantly be on guard. Instead, you've learned how to flow with life, how to adapt when necessary, and how to protect your peace when things get out of balance. Sitting outside in the calm of your backyard one evening, you close your eyes for a moment and take it all in. The warmth of the air, the sounds of the world around you, the stillness that fills the space. There's no rush, no urgency. You've arrived at a place where the world feels right, where the balance between giving and protecting is clear. And in that stillness, you understand that life, with all its unpredictability, is just that, a series of moments, both big and small, that shape you in ways you can't always predict. The key you've learned is how you respond. You have the power to choose how to navigate each challenge, how to maintain your peace, and how to keep growing, even in the face of discomfort. You smile softly to yourself, knowing that whatever comes next, you are prepared. Your boundaries are strong, your peace is intact, and you have the clarity to embrace whatever lies ahead. Life has a funny way of teaching you exactly what you need when you need it. And for now, you're exactly where you're meant to be, rooted in your space, grounded in your peace, and ready for whatever comes your way. As the years pass, the memory of that chaotic night fades even further into the background of your life. It's a story you've told a few times, perhaps as a light-hearted anecdote when sharing experiences with friends or new neighbors, but it's no longer something that defines you. The sense of urgency or frustration that you once felt has long since dissipated. It's just another chapter in the story of your life, one that helped shape you into the person you are now. The changes in yourself are subtle but significant. You've learned the value of both standing up for yourself and knowing when to let things go. Your boundaries, once an active defense mechanism, have now become an effortless part of your daily life. They no longer feel like something you need to protect constantly. Instead, they've become a quiet assurance, a part of your inner peace. Your relationships with those around you, whether with friends, family, or even acquaintances like Karen, have grown in quiet strength. You've learned not to force connections, to not try to control the dynamics of your relationships. The ones that truly matter are the ones that respect your boundaries naturally, and those that don't, well, they no longer occupy your time or emotional energy. Karen, for her part, has also settled into a routine. You notice her occasionally in the neighborhood, but there are no awkward encounters anymore. The dynamic between the two of you has evolved, and it's almost as if the past conflict was a blip in time, something neither of you dwell on, but both acknowledge as part of the larger picture. You see her one day, walking by with a friend, and you exchange a polite nod. There's no deep conversation, just the recognition that things have changed, and that's okay. What's most important is that there's no tension, no resentment. And for both of you, that's enough. Your life continues on a peaceful, steady trajectory. You focus more on the things that bring you joy, the small victories in your daily life, the moments spent with people who truly understand and respect you, and the continued growth that comes from knowing yourself and your values. You've become more discerning about where you invest your time and energy. You no longer feel the need to prove anything or make unnecessary efforts to please others. You've learned to listen to your instincts, and they've guided you well. At home, in your backyard, there's a new kind of peace. It's not the relief that came from resolving a conflict or the satisfaction of having made a point. No, it's something deeper now, a quiet contentment in knowing that you've created a space for yourself that reflects who you are. The backyard is no longer just a place of solitude, but a symbol of your journey. Every time you sit outside, surrounded by the trees and the soft sounds of nature, you remember that peace doesn't come from the absence of noise or conflict. It comes from within. You begin to take greater joy in the simple things, the way the sunlight filters through the leaves, the gentle hum of the neighborhood in the background, the feeling of grass beneath your feet as you walk barefoot outside. These moments are fleeting, but they are also precious. They remind you that the small, everyday experiences often hold more significance than the big, dramatic moments that once seemed so important. Life, as it always does, continues to shift and change. You encounter new challenges, but they don't feel as overwhelming as they once did. Now, you handle them with the calm assurance that you've developed over time. Your boundaries, though once a reactive measure, are now part of your foundation. They are no longer just about defending yourself. They're about maintaining balance in your life. When new conflicts arise, you face them with the same grounded strength that you cultivated during that difficult experience with Karen. You no longer feel the need to escalate situations unnecessarily, but you are still willing to stand firm when it matters. It's a balance that comes with time, one that you've perfected over the years. And then one day, as you're sitting outside, enjoying the peace of the evening, you realize just how far you've come. The person you were, the one caught in that chaotic moment with Karen, is a distant memory. You've changed in ways you never expected, and while the process wasn't always easy, You've become someone who not only understands their worth, but also knows how to protect it. The world outside continues to change, but you're content. Your life is yours to live, shaped by the choices you've made and the boundaries you've set. The things that once seemed important, like proving yourself or worrying about other people's opinions, no longer have the same weight. You're free to focus on what matters most: your peace, your growth, and the simple joy that comes from living in alignment with your true self. As the days pass and the seasons change once more, you find yourself looking forward to the future with a sense of anticipation and calm. Whatever comes next, you're ready. Your foundation is strong, your boundaries are clear, and you've created a life that reflects the person you've become. The peace you've cultivated isn't fragile, it's resilient. And for the first time in a long time, you understand something profoundly simple. You've arrived at a place where you can simply be. No drama, no need to prove anything. Just the quiet contentment that comes with living a life that is truly your own. As the years continue to pass, the landscape of your life becomes even more rooted in the sense of tranquility and understanding that you've worked so hard to cultivate. The days blend together, not in monotony, but in a calm rhythm that feels just right. You no longer seek validation or approval from others, and that shift has allowed you to live more authentically. You've come to realize that you don't need to justify your choices or your space to anyone. The confidence that comes from knowing who you are and what you value has freed you in ways you hadn't even anticipated. Your backyard, once a battleground of sorts, now feels like the true reflection of your personal growth. It's more than just a space for solitude. It's a reminder of the journey you've taken, how you've defended your peace, how you've learned to protect it, and how you've come to understand that your boundaries are not something to fear, but something to embrace. You've realized that it's not just about protecting your physical space, it's about ensuring that your emotional and mental space remains intact as well. The way you interact with the world has changed too. You no longer feel the need to be defensive or reactive. There's a quiet assurance that guides your decisions now. You handle situations that used to rattle you with ease, maintaining your sense of calm even when life throws challenges your way. Whether it's dealing with an unexpected situation or just navigating the ups and downs of daily life, you do so with a quiet confidence, knowing that you have the power to choose how to respond. Occasionally, you reflect on how much the experience with Karen, though unsettling at the time, helped shape this newfound strength within you. It was a defining moment, one that gave you the clarity to understand what truly matters: peace, boundaries, and the ability to walk away from anything or anyone that doesn't align with your values. That night wasn't just about an invasion of your backyard. It was about realizing that you had the right to protect your space and to stand firm in that protection. It was about understanding that no one has the right to take your peace away, no matter how small or seemingly trivial the situation may appear. The few times you see Karen now, it's with a sense of neutrality. There's no more awkwardness, no more unresolved tension hanging between you. Your interactions are polite, brief exchanges, nothing more, nothing less. And strangely enough, that's all you need. You don't need a deeper connection or a renewed friendship. What you share now is an understanding of mutual respect, something you've both come to appreciate, even if unspoken. It's enough to simply know that the past is behind you, and the present is about maintaining peace and living your life on your terms. Over time, your relationships with others have deepened as well. You've surrounded yourself with people who understand your boundaries and respect your need for space. There's no more trying to please everyone or feeling guilty about saying no. You've found a balance between caring for others and caring for yourself, a balance that allows you to be present without sacrificing your peace. And so, as you sit in your backyard one evening, watching the sun dip behind the trees and the sky turn shades of orange and pink, you reflect on the journey you've taken. It's been a path of growth and understanding, one that you've walked with intention. The challenges you've faced, the mistakes you've made, and the lessons you've learned have all played a part in bringing you to this moment. You've created a life that feels truly your own, one that's rooted in respect for yourself and for others. You no longer feel the need to rush or force things to happen. You've found the peace in simply being, in embracing the quiet moments and the small victories. You've discovered that it's not the big, dramatic events that shape your life the most, it's the quiet, everyday choices that make all the difference. As you lean back in your chair, the cool evening air brushing against your skin, you smile softly to yourself. Life isn't perfect, but it's exactly where it needs to be. You've learned how to navigate its ups and downs with grace, how to protect your peace without fear, and how to trust yourself in the process. The world keeps turning, and while the future remains uncertain, you now know that you're capable of facing whatever comes next with the same strength and clarity that have brought you this far. Your boundaries are firm, your peace is unwavering, and you are exactly where you need to be. And for the first time in a long while, you feel an overwhelming sense of contentment. Life, with all its twists and turns, has brought you to a place of quiet satisfaction. You don't need to chase anything anymore. You've found peace, and that's enough. As the years pass and life continues to unfold, you find yourself in a place of profound peace. You've shed the weight of unnecessary worries and expectations, embracing the simplicity of living in alignment with your values. The world around you moves at its own pace, but you're no longer in a rush to catch up with it. The desire to constantly prove yourself or please others has faded, replaced by a deep sense of contentment with where you are and who you've become. Your backyard, once a symbol of conflict and discomfort, has become something of a sanctuary. It's no longer just the place where you retreated to escape the chaos of that night. It's now a symbol of the peace you've cultivated within yourself. The space has become yours in every sense of the word, a reflection of your personal growth and your ability to protect what matters most to you. It's a quiet reminder that you have the power to create the kind of environment you need to thrive. The relationships in your life have followed the same peaceful trajectory. You've learned that not every relationship needs to be close or constant to be meaningful. Instead, you've surrounded yourself with people who bring out the best in you, who understand your need for balance, and who respect your boundaries. You no longer feel the need to justify your time or your decisions to others. The friendships and connections you've built are genuine, rooted in mutual respect and understanding. When you see Karen now, it's as though the past never happened. There's no tension, no awkwardness. Your interactions are cordial but distant, just two neighbors who share a basic respect for one another's space. There's no need to revisit the past, no need for further apologies or explanations. What once seemed like a major conflict now feels like a distant memory, something that was necessary to go through in order to reach the calm and clarity you now enjoy. In fact, it's the quiet moments like these, the brief exchanges and the peaceful routines of daily life, that have become the most valuable. Life no longer feels like a series of events that need to be managed, but rather a collection of small, meaningful moments that make up your journey. Whether it's sipping coffee in the morning, watching the sunset in your backyard, or simply sitting in the silence of your home, you find joy in the simplicity of it all. You realize now that you've created a life that reflects your true self. The boundaries you once had to assert are no longer something you need to constantly guard. They've become an intrinsic part of who you are, a foundation upon which your peace is built. You've learned that protecting your peace isn't about fighting external battles. It's about knowing when to step back, when to let go, and when to embrace the quiet moments that truly matter. The lessons of the past are still with you, but they no longer dominate your thoughts. The experience with Karen, while important at the time, has lost its power to disturb your peace. Instead, it has become a part of the larger picture, a moment that contributed to the person you are today, but no longer defines you. You've learned how to stand your ground, how to set boundaries, and how to protect your space, but you've also learned when to release, and when to let things flow naturally. As you continue to move through life, you find that your journey is not defined by the conflicts you've overcome, but by the peace you've cultivated in the wake of them. It's the moments of quiet reflection, the small victories, and the deep sense of gratitude for the life you've created that now guide you. The things that once seemed important, status, approval, validation, no longer hold the same weight. Instead, you find fulfillment in the simple act of being yourself, of living authentically, and of allowing your life to unfold without force. Your backyard, still as peaceful and serene as ever, has become a place where you can sit and reflect on everything you've learned. You feel a deep sense of gratitude for this space, not just because it's where you retreat, but because it represents the life you've built. It's a reminder of your strength, your resilience, and your ability to create the kind of environment where you can simply exist without the weight of the past holding you back. And so, as the years continue to pass, you find yourself not chasing anything, but simply living in the flow of life. You've learned that peace doesn't come from external sources, but from within. It's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing yourself, respecting your boundaries, and allowing life to unfold in its own time. As you sit in your backyard one last time, watching the fading light of day turn into night, you realize that you've arrived. You've created the life you always wanted, not through force, but through patience and understanding. You've found peace, and that's more than enough. The years continue to flow smoothly, and each day becomes a quiet reflection of everything you've learned and all that you've accomplished. The once tumultuous energy of that chaotic night with Karen is now but a distant memory, tucked away in the corners of your life. The peace you've built, both within yourself and in the space around you, has blossomed into something deeply fulfilling. Your life has found a new rhythm, one that is grounded in simplicity and authenticity. You've learned to truly savor the quiet moments, those small, everyday experiences that you once might have overlooked. You no longer feel the need to fill every minute with activity or distraction. Instead, you find comfort in the stillness, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of distant laughter in the neighborhood. These moments, as simple as they are, have become the essence of your peace. The sense of security you've cultivated in your life now feels unshakable. You've created an environment that nurtures your well-being, one that respects your boundaries and upholds your values. There's no longer any need to explain yourself to others or defend your choices. You've surrounded yourself with people who respect you for who you are, and with that, there's no need for constant validation or external approval. You have become your own source of strength. Your relationships with others have grown in new ways, shaped by the lessons of self-respect and understanding. The connections you've nurtured are deeper, more meaningful, and rooted in mutual respect. You're no longer driven by the desire to please or conform, but rather by the desire to surround yourself with those who support you as you are. The space you've carved out for yourself is one that's balanced, open to love and connection, but not at the expense of your peace. Karen, once a person who triggered such tension in your life, is now just another neighbor. When you cross paths, there's no more awkwardness or underlying tension. The past has been buried, and what remains is a mutual understanding of boundaries. The past doesn't haunt your present, and in many ways, that's the most powerful resolution of all. You've both moved forward, no longer carrying the burden of old conflicts. Life has a way of healing old wounds if you let it, and you've learned the beauty of letting go. The lessons you've learned aren't just about standing firm. They're about knowing when to let go, when to release the need for control, and when to simply allow life to unfold. Your approach to challenges has evolved. Instead of reacting with tension or frustration, you've learned to respond with calm and clarity. Life's uncertainties don't throw you off balance the way they once did. Now, you handle them with grace, knowing that whatever comes your way, you will face it with the same quiet strength you've nurtured over the years. As time goes on, you find that your perspective has shifted. Where once you saw the need to constantly strive for success or validation, now you see the importance of just being. You've learned that peace comes not from doing more, but from being present. You've stopped chasing after external markers of success and started embracing the satisfaction that comes from knowing you are enough, just as you are. The backyard, once a battleground for your peace, is now a place of quiet reflection. You spend more time there, soaking in the tranquility of the space that has come to symbolize everything you've worked to achieve. You realize that the true beauty of life lies in its simplicity, in the moments of quiet contemplation, and in the ability to be content with what you have. And with that realization, you find a sense of closure, not just with the past, but with the journey you've taken. You've learned to protect your peace, to set boundaries, and to embrace life on your terms. You've cultivated a life of balance, peace, and authenticity. And as the days pass by, you feel more grateful for the person you've become and the space you've created for yourself. There's no rush anymore. Life moves at its own pace, and you've found that the most important thing is to simply be present. The future no longer feels uncertain or overwhelming because you know that whatever happens, you will handle it with the same strength and clarity that has carried you this far. You've found peace in the present moment, and that is enough. As the years continue to unfold, you smile softly to yourself, knowing that the quiet joy you've found in your life is a reflection of all the work you've done to create it. You've built something beautiful, something lasting, and something entirely your own. And for the first time in a long time, you can simply be, without the need to explain, defend, or strive. You've arrived at a place where your peace is your own, and that is more than enough. As the years continue to roll on, you find that your life has settled into a deeper, richer rhythm. The external noise that once bothered you has faded away, replaced by a serene clarity that comes from within. You've reached a point where you no longer feel the need to constantly look for signs of growth or improvement. It's clear to you now that the peace you've built is a reflection of your ongoing journey, one that, though quiet, has been filled with moments of profound transformation. The lessons you've learned over the years have slowly woven themselves into the fabric of your everyday life. The boundaries you once set out of necessity now come naturally. Your ability to stand firm in the face of adversity has become second nature, and you've realized that peace isn't about avoiding discomfort. It's about how you handle it when it arises. You've cultivated a deep inner strength that allows you to face whatever life throws at you, and you do so with a calm certainty that was once foreign to you. Your backyard remains your sanctuary, a place of calm where you can reflect on everything you've learned. It's more than just a physical space. It's a symbol of your growth and the place where you've always been able to find clarity. It's where you reconnect with yourself, where you pause and let the world continue around you without feeling the need to control it. The space is yours, and more importantly, you've made it a reflection of everything you've worked for, both in terms of your physical environment and your mental and emotional well-being. And yet, as you sit in that familiar space one evening, watching the soft twilight hues of the setting sun, you realize something. The quiet contentment you feel now is not just a result of your personal growth, but of your willingness to let go. You've learned to release the need to hold on to things, to force outcomes, or to cling to past conflicts. You've stopped resisting the flow of life. And in doing so, you've allowed yourself to be more present, more connected to the world around you. The relationships in your life have grown even more meaningful. You've surrounded yourself with people who, like you, understand the importance of respect, both for themselves and for others. You've learned to appreciate those who are willing to give you space, and those who cherish your boundaries as much as their own. These are the people who enrich your life, who support you without overwhelming you, and whose company you genuinely enjoy. There's no pressure to perform, no expectation to be anything other than what you are. You've also realized that the key to a peaceful life isn't just about setting boundaries with others, it's about being kind to yourself. Over the years, you've learned to be patient with yourself, to embrace your imperfections, and to forgive your mistakes. You no longer strive for perfection. Instead, you've accepted that life is about growth, not arrival. And in this acceptance, you've found a freedom you never expected. Your relationship with Karen, though minimal now, still carries a certain simplicity. Every now and then, you cross paths in the neighborhood, and each time, it's a reminder of how far both of you have come. There's no tension, no unfinished business hanging in the air. Instead, you exchange polite greetings, and the weight of the past is left behind. You've both moved on, and you've realized that this is part of the natural flow of life. People come and go, and relationships evolve, but what remains constant is the inner peace you've cultivated along the way. And though you never intended to become the person you are now, quiet, centered, and self-assured, you've come to embrace it fully. You've spent years learning how to protect your peace, and now that it's become a natural part of you, you find that you no longer need to look for it outside yourself. It's here, always within reach, and you've learned to nourish it by being true to yourself, by surrounding yourself with those who uplift you, and by taking the time to rest when needed. As time passes, you start to notice that the simple, everyday moments hold more weight than anything you ever thought you needed to achieve. The sound of your breath, the stillness of the evening, the warmth of a cup of tea in your hands, these things are now enough. You've discovered that peace is not something you find in grand gestures or accomplishments. It's something that resides within you, available to you in every moment if you simply allow yourself to be present. Looking back, you see that everything has led you to this point. The struggles, the growth, the moments of doubt. All of it was necessary. It shaped you, helped you build the life you now cherish. And as you reflect on it, you feel a deep sense of gratitude for the journey, for the lessons learned, and for the peace you found. And so, as the years continue to pass, you settle into this new chapter of your life with a sense of quiet satisfaction. You're no longer chasing anything, nor are you trying to prove anything. You've found what matters most, and you've built a life around it. The people who matter, the moments of stillness, the knowledge that you are enough. All of these things have become the foundation of your life. And with that foundation in place, you can move forward with confidence, knowing that whatever comes next will be embraced with the same calm strength that has guided you so far. As the sun sets on another day, you smile softly to yourself. There's nothing to prove, nowhere you need to be. You've created a life that is exactly what you need it to be, and in that simple fact, you find everything you've been searching for. Peace, contentment, and the quiet joy of simply being. As the years stretch on, you find that the simple joys of life have become more fulfilling than anything else. Your days are filled with a rhythm that feels natural, unhurried, and steady. You wake up to the morning light streaming through the windows, you sip your coffee in the backyard, and you embrace the warmth of each passing moment. There's no rush, no pressure to meet deadlines or prove anything. You've come to appreciate the beauty of simply existing. Your boundaries are as strong as ever, but now they exist in a way that feels effortless. They are no longer something you need to defend or enforce with any great effort. They've become part of the landscape of your life, ingrained in how you interact with others and how you protect your own peace. You've mastered the delicate balance of being open to connection while still holding firm to your own well-being. It's a quiet strength, one that doesn't demand attention, but is always there when you need it. Your relationships, both with family and friends, have grown into something more meaningful and deep. There's no drama, no force. You've learned that the best relationships are the ones that feel natural, where respect for each other's space and needs is mutual. The friends you've kept are the ones who understand the ebb and flow of life, who give you the space to be yourself, and who stand by you when it matters. These friendships no longer require constant effort or validation, as they have become rooted in mutual understanding and respect. Karen, once a figure of tension and confusion in your life, is now just another neighbor. The times you run into her are infrequent, but every interaction is warm and genuine. You smile, wave, and exchange small pleasantries, but nothing more. You realize that this is exactly how things should be. No lingering negativity, no unfinished business, just two people who coexist with the understanding that the past is in the past and the present is what matters now. It's a testament to your ability to let go and to find peace with the way things have unfolded. Looking at your life now, you see the quiet progress you've made. It's not about grand achievements or milestones anymore. It's about being present, enjoying the small victories, and savoring the moments that matter most. You take pleasure in the little things, the way the seasons change, the way your garden grows, the sound of birds in the morning, the peace that comes with sitting on your porch at the end of a long day. These moments, once overlooked or taken for granted, have become the things that nourish you. Your backyard, the place where all of this began, continues to be your haven. It's the place where you reflect, where you find clarity, and where you simply enjoy the quiet solitude. The peace you've cultivated there mirrors the peace you've found within yourself. The space is both a reflection of your journey and a reminder that you have the power to create the life you want. You've taken something that was once filled with discomfort and turned it into a symbol of personal growth and strength. And yet, as you sit there, surrounded by the tranquility of the space you've created, you realize that you've found the freedom that comes with knowing that you don't need anything to complete you. You've found a deep, quiet joy in simply being. Life isn't about chasing after something more or constantly striving for an ideal. It's about embracing the present moment, living authentically, and being at peace with where you are. You no longer feel the need to constantly prove yourself or seek external validation. You've learned that you are enough as you are. The pressure to keep up with others, to measure your worth against external markers of success, has dissipated. The fulfillment you feel now comes from within. It's the quiet satisfaction of knowing that you've built something meaningful and lasting, something that doesn't require constant effort but grows naturally as you move through life. As time continues, you find that you're more in tune with yourself and the world around you. Your pace is slower now, not because you're weary, but because you've learned that there is no need to rush. The world will unfold as it will, and you've learned how to move with it rather than against it. You take joy in the simple pleasures of life, knowing that these moments are fleeting but precious. You've learned to appreciate what is. You no longer long for what could be, or wish things were different. The present moment is enough. The life you've created for yourself, grounded in peace and authenticity, is everything you need. It's not perfect, but it's real, and it's yours. And so, as you continue to move through your days, you find that you no longer look for the next big thing. You don't need to chase after a future that promises more. What you have now is enough. And in that acceptance, you find a kind of freedom that most people spend their lives searching for. You have the ability to simply exist, to enjoy the moments that come, and to appreciate the quiet beauty that surrounds you every day. The world continues to change, and life keeps unfolding in its own way, but you've learned that you have everything you need right here. And that realization, simple as it may seem, brings with it a profound peace that you will carry with you always. The future doesn't worry you anymore. You're not afraid of what comes next. You are exactly where you need to be. And with that knowledge, you smile, content in the quiet certainty that life, in its most beautiful form, is simply about being present in the moment and finding peace in the space you create. As the years pass, you realize something fundamental. Peace isn't a destination. It's a state of being. It's a way of living, a choice you make every day, in every small moment. The tumultuous years, the struggles, the moments of doubt, all of them have led you to this place. You've discovered that it's not the big events that shape your life, but the quiet, everyday decisions to remain true to yourself, to honor your boundaries, to protect your peace, and to appreciate the present moment. The world outside continues to change, but you've found a kind of stillness in your own life. Your backyard, once a symbol of chaos, is now the embodiment of everything you've built. It's where you've learned to be present, to reconnect with yourself, and to reflect on the path that's brought you here. And now, sitting there, watching the world continue at its pace, you know that the greatest gift you've given yourself is the freedom to simply be. There's no rush anymore. You've learned that the rush is what takes away from the joy of living. The constant striving, the pressure to meet expectations, none of it matters now. What matters is the peace you've created within your own space, and the joy you've found in the simple, quiet moments that fill your life. You've become someone who doesn't chase after approval, who doesn't measure success by others' standards. You've created a life that reflects your values, and in doing so, you've found contentment. True contentment. The kind that comes from knowing that you are enough, exactly as you are. No need to prove it, no need to seek validation. Just being you, in this moment, with all the peace and simplicity you've cultivated. The relationships in your life, too, have deepened. You've let go of the need to fill every moment with social obligations or external demands. You've surrounded yourself with people who respect your space, your boundaries, and your need for peace. These are the relationships that matter. They don't demand constant attention, but they provide warmth, understanding, and connection. The friendships that have remained are the ones that allow you to be yourself, without pretense, without effort. And the space you've created for yourself, both in your home and in your heart, has become a testament to your growth. It's a space where you can be vulnerable, where you can breathe, and where you can reflect on everything you've learned. It's a space where you can simply exist, without the weight of the world pressing down on you. Looking back, you understand now that the things you once thought would bring you fulfillment, success, recognition, approval, were never the answers. The true answer was within you all along. It was the quiet moments of self-reflection, the ability to stand firm in your boundaries, and the willingness to let go of what no longer serves you. You've learned that life doesn't have to be perfect to be fulfilling. It just has to be real. And yours is, at last, a life that feels true. As you sit quietly in your backyard, surrounded by the simple beauty of the evening, you smile. There's no need for more. You've found peace, and in finding it, you've realized that the journey was never about reaching some far-off destination. It was always about understanding yourself, accepting your boundaries, and knowing that you are enough. So, you breathe in the stillness, feeling the weight of everything you've learned settle into the quiet of the evening. You know that the next chapter will come in its own time, but for now, you are content, because you have everything you need. And that is enough.